Alright, we're recording here. We're just going to show you one of the last kind of pieces of all these threads, and that in fact is how you kind of take things from Inventor and stick them in the Revit. And I think the file looks like it needs to be an SAT file, so I am in right now in an assembly here. I'm going to export it out. The formats, you've got any set of formats, you kind of look around. Step or SAT files. SAT files looks like they were kind of assumed to work, all kinds of different ones. You're going to see learning how files relate to each other and doing tests is an important thing. You've got different options there. I guess I'll just try check the 07. I'm going to send this in our case out to a C drive and a temp so I know where it's at. I'm going to call it that assembly1.sit and I'm going to save. I'm going to stick that out. It goes out relatively quickly. I do that to see that I can import into Revit. So let me just begin import into a base Revit, a brand new one. Though some of you, because some of you may be working on starting a building start to finish, you should be able to do that, and it is a requirement to go through. And so I'm going to go ahead and start now Revit. If I can find it on here, I will point out that many of you should be playing around eventually this summer or sooner with Revit architectural, not just Revit structural. It's going to be more the kind of the base thing that you work off of. I'm going to start with Revit structural here. I'll begin a new project and I will then import. Remembering the coordinate system even in Inventor is important. Layering in Inventor doesn't seem to be there. You can also push out from Inventor into DWG. You're going to see that's DWG and DXF. It has historically been one of the kind of the basic ones that you kind of go through as a middle ground. One link you remember we had issues with was going from AutoCAD DWG 3D objects into Inventor. We'll see whether that process, it looks like the links are there. It could be some setting stuff. I'm going to point out that when you download Inventor to your home machines, it's a little easier to get the beam generator, which is one thing we do not have here. Maybe letter, hit OK. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and just start a new one. File, new. And I'm going to go ahead and then try one of those links. You're here. Remember, we go to level 1. Typically, I'm just going to right away just go ahead and insert a Cad link. And the Cad link, one of our choices, of course, are the SAT files. I can go out to C, out to temp, and I can grab that assembly SAT file. I'm going to open it up, see what comes in. Again, you're going to see it be easier. This program tends to want to bring things in with the coordinate system Z up, and Inventor works a little bit differently. So you want to make sure that when you're making things in Inventor, and if you notice, there they are with the holes. Let's see what it did in terms of rendering on that. Looks like it didn't do much. Shading with edges. And so if we look at that here, I'm going to go ahead, well, that's not so bad. I'm going to go ahead and look at it in an analytical view, and we see now, does it have any depth or thickness? It actually does. And so that issue potentially of whether or not it renders or not might be an issue that you want to look at. So we're going to go ahead and try to orbit here. All right, if we go ahead and turn on our wireframe, our shading, it actually is showing it up there. So this idea that you can then link in Inventor files to this, once again, it's going to be that coordinate system thing that becomes very important. So within Inventor, keep carrying around your coordinate systems. You see here again, this is not a live link because it is linking in basically something that you had processed out. It does not have a live link into a set of an extent Inventor. So this is all part of workflow. So again, we'll go back and see now in analytical, go to view 1 here. We have that view 1 set up. Of course, we can go to a sheet, right click, new sheet. We're going to load, of course, from the aptly named 11 by 17 horizontal. We remember that we're in here. We're going to hit OK. We're now in that sheet. You can pull perhaps your view level 1, pull it right in there, right click. I'm sorry, you put it in there, and then right away it's one of your properties. Your properties, instead of 1/8 to an inch, you might go to a 1/16, right? Or you might even go lower. There's cropping that can be done on these, etc. So those views, how you set them up in terms of the location. Once again, I'm going to element properties. Instead of a 16th, I might go to a 32nd. And now right now you see I can get my, albeit that slight thing here seems to be a description. That is basically your title. You see how nicely that comes in. Depending on what other views you would have, if we go to here, within that view here, element properties, we can go in here, activate view, we can go in here, VV. And if you think about model categories, annotation categories, imported categories, there's different controls you can do. What I'm trying to do is turn off those cameras. They're probably in the glyph. Alright, so the sense that you got a lot of settings and you can control within here as well. Again, that is an import from an Inventor. That's where we'll leave it.